It looks like we're going live everywhere. Hopefully this is working. So we're live on Instagram. I gotta switch the camera here. Mirroring is off, and we are live on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere. Okay. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It is Tuesday, and we're back. We're answering your traffic questions, your police questions, because I'm Sean Shapiro, and I'm with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada, and this is what I do. This is my bag, baby. No, this is what seriously, we are here to answer your questions. If you've got questions, ask them, because that's what we do. And I got to move my camera because it's annoying me. Now we'll leave it the way it is. We'll change things tomorrow. Everything seems to be good. We got our exposure right on the other thingamabobber. Q is here checking out our connections, making sure everything is peachy. Apparently we sound good. And my name tag is straight because we checked it before the show. Now, what's going on? What's new? One of our videos is at 4.6 million views. That's pretty cool. Can't believe that. That's a thing. Talking about Tint. It's a Tint video, and people lost their minds. Don't like being told that Tint is not legal. Now, granted, a lot of the folks that are responding are talking about Tint in their location, in their jurisdiction, which may have different laws. But in Ontario, which is where I am, the laws say you can't have tint that obscures the interior of the vehicle. You can't use reflective tint that prevents us from looking inside the vehicle. Of course, there's a safety aspect. You can't tint the front windshield, and you can't make it so dark that you can't see out. But there's also a component of being able to see in, and yeah, folks don't necessarily like that. They want the privacy. Tomato. Okay, we've a topple, Angela. Is that Angela? It's with Good Morning, Sean and Q. We've got, who's this? This is 8th Gas Station Stories. Is that what am I reading that right? 8th Street Gas Station Stories. How are you this morning, sir? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Happy to be here on the talk. And it's not just a talk, because we got Instagram going on too. Philster69 wants to know about the tow pilot project on about highways. That's an Ontario Provincial Police pilot. Basically, they want to make sure that tow companies are approved before they're dispatched or being utilized by the police. So in Toronto, we've been doing this for a long time. We have approved contract vendors for tow truck companies, and if we're the ones who are calling for a tow truck, we are going to give it to someone who has a contract with us that's been vetted, that we know is going to have standard rates. And I believe that's what's happening now with the provincial police. They're doing much of the same of what we're doing. But I don't have a lot of details on what they're doing beyond what we just said. Crayon Stealer says, sorry for yesterday's confusion. So yesterday, Crayon Stealer said, hey, it's good to see your face again. And I'm like, you see my face again? And I totally thought it meant that we knew each other from outside TikTok. And I was trying to identify them by the little tiny icon on my screen. Alas, we don't know each other, but her schedule is finally changed so she can once again tune in and see us again. So thank you for that, for explaining it, because I was really confused. And now that I follow Crayon Stealer, the obligation is she has to make new content and keep up making content for the channel, for her channel. But now I'm a subscriber. Everyone puts pressure on me to make new content. We're gonna say new content for her too. Okay, let's see here. But obviously, it's all good. I'm kidding. Let's see here. Will says good morning. John Darrell says, I just purchased a new car and I hadn't renewed. I'm sure there's a part B to that. Is that something in relation to your license plate? Maybe that's what you're... Oh, here we go. Hadn't renewed my plate in 2 years. Should I have renewed it? Because I just got a new plate instead. I don't know. If you've been able to get a new car and you got a new plate and avoided paying the 2 years that you just missed, you may have gotten a great deal. If they didn't bill you for it, you may be okay. Question of, would you chase bikes? BMX, mountain bike, what kind of bike are we talking about? We will stop a motorcycle. Very often motorcycle riders are riding beyond their ability, and if we chase them, they tend to get hurt. So it really depends on the situation. Does OPP have jurisdictions over Six Nations? I'm not familiar with how they work. If they are just outside of reserves, or if they have. I believe that Six Nations has their own policing. So that's a good question for the OPP. Sadly, I don't have a lot of detail about that. It's not my area of expertise. My tag's expired, but waiting on it in the mail. If you renewed your tags online, you're going to have a receipt. That receipt is going to be proof that you did it. But additionally, we're going to see it in the system immediately. That's my understanding of how it works, because we'll go in and boom, there you go. We see the update. I think it's instantaneous. Just looking at Big Jeff Fresh having popped into YouTube along with Ryan Pinn. Ahoy there. Ryan is a driving instructor from Nova Scotia. That's where he kicks back. And how's the weather? I hate that's the question. How's the weather by you? Seriously, Ryan, how's the weather out in Nova Scotia? Let's see here. How to alert a car to turn their lights on. I tend to pull up next to them. I did it yesterday on the way home. Driver was driving what I call a ghost car, no taillights. So they had turned they turned their signal on to make a right turn into the lane that I was in. So instead of stopping to let them in, I kind of gave them a beep on the horn, pulled up next to them, gave them the international signal of roll the windows down, which makes no sense anymore, because this is how we roll them down now, not rolling the handle. But anyway, I got them to roll down the window, told them that their lights were off, and they went, ah, and they were shocked, because they've probably been driving like that for years and never paid attention. Okay. Question from the chat that Q just sent to me. Can I refuse to answer any questions after giving my license and registration? So when you are pulled over by police, license, ownership, and insurance is the demand that we would make, or we make a demand for those things. And you have to provide those. Do you have to tell us where you're coming from, where you're going to? No, you don't have to, as a courtesy, to have a conversation with someone who's stopping a police officer. Yeah, it's courteous to have a conversation, but you don't have to give up things that are going to necessarily incriminate you. You don't have to be friendly either. Now, there's other things. If we make a demand for a roadside screening device, you do have to provide some information, and that could be an issue if you don't. But generally speaking, most questions are not part of it. And if there is something that you have to be concerned about, or that you're legally required to provide, then an officer is going to let you know that. And if you choose to not comply with the demand, you could find yourself arrested. So just to be aware. Let's see here. Okay. How old do you have to be to become a police officer or a cop? The question is, I think it's 18 legally, but the average officer being hired these days is about 30. So, yeah. Just noticed that Kayla Draconis just dropped in from YouTube. Good morning to you. They say, let's do this. And Ryan says that she's blowing a gale. So I'm assuming it's windy. Okay. In Nova Scotia, not in Ontario. Although it is kind of chilly. I went for a walk to grab coffee this morning, and it was not friendly. I should have worn a hat, because there's no protection here. The hair does not protect from the wind. It's not happening. Okay. And just to remind everybody, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go live on TikTok, Instagram, and a whole bunch of other places. So wherever you are watching, know that it's a live interactive show. You can ask questions, whether you're on Instagram, TikTok, and if you are on either of those platforms, please use the Q&A, because I am not monitoring the chat. If you are coming in from any of the other platforms we have, when you put a message in, I should be seeing it. And that's how I'm seeing Ryan and Akela and Big Jeff Fresh when they make messages. But if you're there, please say hello and tell us where you're from, because we'd love to hear from you. Okay. So question, we covered how old you have to be. If a stop sign gets covered in snow, is it valid? It's arguable, but here's the thing. If you know it's a stop sign that's covered in snow, does it matter if it's covered? If you know it's there, you should stop for it. It's arguable in court that if you were to go through a collision and it was truly covered, could you bring it up in court? Yeah, it's something you can argue in court, but we wouldn't sit and set up a stop sign enforcement setup unless the signs were not obstructed. Equally, if I saw one that was obstructed, I'd get out with my snow brush and I'd brush it off, and then I'd enforce it. But I wouldn't, generally speaking, we're not going to enforce something that doesn't have a proper sign, because our evidence has to reflect that. Now, when it comes to a position of collision, like you went through the stop sign, it wasn't there, maybe that's a defense for you there, maybe it's not. Okay, what's the law on loud music in a car? Well, we have laws about unnecessary noise in Ontario. So I want to change this camera. It's really bugging me. Let me see if I can. There we go. So that was changing the YouTube camera angle. It was bugging me. I was off center. So if you're making unnecessary noise, regardless if that's your horn, honking it for no reason, if you're playing your stereo too loudly, or if your exhaust system is unnecessarily loud, that's going to be a ticket. Okay. Now, oh, Todd Parker TPS just joined in on Instagram. Hi, Todd. Can I press a wave? What happens if I press wave? I pressed wave. It waved to you. There you go.
You're so funny.
I've never pressed that button before. I can wave at a whole bunch of people. That's cool. So yeah, you can get a ticket for unnecessary loud noise. It's $110. No demerit points that I'm aware of, and that's it. It's not a moving violation. It's a violation in a car on a street. But yeah, can you get pulled over for not having a driver's license? Is that what DRLs is? You'd probably get pulled over for doing something while you're driving and then charged for not having a driver's license once you're investigated for the driving that you did to get pulled over. But my psychic powers are not that good. I wouldn't know if you're licensed or not just because you're sitting in the seat. You'd have to do something to alert me to your presence, whether it be poor driving or, oh no, daytime running lights. That's too funny. Thanks for clarifying. So if you don't have daytime running lights, that's a manufacturer requirement, not a motor vehicle requirement. So if your daytime running lights aren't working, I've never pulled anybody over for that. Now, if your headlights are not working, that's a different story. If you have improper headlights because it's half an hour before sundown or half an hour after sun up and your headlights aren't on at all, I'm going to have a problem with that because your headlights aren't on. You need to have those. But daytime runners, it's a manufacturer requirement for selling a vehicle. But there's cars that were manufactured without them, and they're still allowed to be on the road. So that's not something we would enforce. Okay.
You drink?
I drink. You speak.
Yes. If my G2 expires and I pass my G1 again, do I have to wait another year before I can take my G2?
So my understanding is if your G2 is about to expire, you can retest for your G2 again. Now, granted, I would just retest or test for my G and move on if I'm qualifying for it. But if you cannot get a test for whatever reason, and I don't know what that reason would be because they are issuing tests, you can get dates. You have to try real hard and be diligent about booking one. Yeah, the deal is that you are apparently able to retest for your G2 and extend for 5 years. You pay again, but there's no time added that I'm aware of. I don't think you have to wait another year. But why not just go for your G? Hopefully that covers your question. Somebody wants to know if I speak any other languages. I speak broken a bunch of different languages. Not really, I just speak English, and even that I'm not that great at it. But I do understand a little bit of everything. I was learning Spanish at one point because I found that interesting. I was learning Russian at one point. I was learning Hebrew at one point. So I know a little bit of a lot of different languages, but I don't have enough for conversational really. Okay, let's see here. How slow is considered impeding traffic? It's not a specific speed. It's more of how much are you impeding traffic? And it has to be without reason because you could impede traffic for a justifiable reason. Like, for instance, there's something on the road. You're slowing down for safety and other people are being slowed down because they're not aware of what you see. That's justifiable. If you're driving 50 kilometers an hour in a 100 kilometer an hour zone, you're a hazard. But if you're traveling 90 or 80 in that zone, just stay out of the passing lane and you're legal because it's a speed limit is a limit, not a minimum. It's not a requirement that you travel at the speed of traffic. It's not a requirement that you keep up with the flow of traffic under law. It's a practice when you teach people how to drive. You say, you should enter a highway, keep up with the speed of traffic so you can merge safely. It's different than saying you're going to get a ticket if you don't do the speed limit. Right? It's a lot of people have this mistaken belief that you have to go fast, that 100 is the max. You got to be doing 100. You should be doing over 100. No, you shouldn't. Speed limits are the limits, not the minimums. Okay, moving on. And just for anyone who's new to the room, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live on TikTok and other social media platforms answering your traffic and police questions. So if you have them, drop them in the Q&A. I don't look at the chat rooms. I don't spend time in chat. I'm only in the Q&A. Mind you, if you're in YouTube or any of the other, if it's not TikTok and it's not Instagram, it's the other. So it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn. If you put questions or in there, I do see them in the chat and I will respond to you there. Okay. How loud should a car muffler be by decibels? It should be no louder than 74 decibels from what we understand from our friend Neon, who's one of our moderators and happens to be a mechanic. So 74 decibels at idle. Now, if you are on a motorcycle, aside from whatever regulations come through for getting your safety, in the city of Toronto, if you create more than 92 decibels in a motorcycle at idle, that's a ticket, a bylaw ticket. Now, when you talk about unnecessary loud noise charges, that's based on behavior defect or modification. If you modify a vehicle that's too loud, it's too loud. If you have a defective muffler, it doesn't work, it's too loud. It may also be an improper muffler. If you have no muffler, it's a hardware charge and as well as the noise charge. So you get two charges. But a motorcycle is going to be louder than a car. Why? There's less car or vehicle to muffle that sound. Your engine is out there in the open. There's no engine compartment and 10 feet of pipe that's going to help reduce and make it quieter. A muffler can muffle, but it doesn't completely eliminate the sound. In any case, the reason I bring up motorcycles is because so many people follow up with, well, how come motorcycles can be louder? Why is it 92 decibels for them and 74 for a car? Because that's the only answer I got.
Okay,
Okay.
you drink?
Okay.
All right. So we've been recently talking. Okay. We've been recently talking about paint coming off of the license plates. Here's a good question from chat.
Sure.
My girlfriend's license plate is not very visible due to the paint coming off, but she is out of the country. What are your suggestions?
She's out of the country. You're driving her car while she's absent from the country.
Right.
And you can't go and exchange the license plates because you're not the owner of the vehicle. You're in a predicament. You're using somebody else's vehicle, and it's not the code, and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, I don't have a good solution for you in terms of what to do because you can't change the plates for her. But you could get a ticket for driving with the plates in a situation where they're not legit. So you're in a sticky situation. I would talk to the ministry. I would see if they would accept some kind of letter of direction, if they would allow you to get a letter giving you direction. I don't think they would, but you can always ask. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's move on to another question. Can a school take your phone? Schools are a funny place. They have rules, and you're on their property. So if they have a no phone policy, they can tell you that it's not permissible, so they could trespass you to the. I'm trying to figure. I don't work with schools, so I'm going out on a limb here. They could tell you to leave or give you the phone. Now that's at that point, if you choose not to leave or to go to the principal's office, you can give the phone, but they can't just seize property. So it's a sticky situation. I don't know what the rules are for them. Generally speaking, nobody can take your stuff. But they can certainly ask you to give it to them, and then you can comply if you want to not get expelled or suspended or get detention. And I think that's really where that's operating. Can they search your stuff? Well, it's there. For instance, lockers. It's their locker. I'm not sure what your eligibility for privacy is. You know what I need to do? I need to get a school resource officer in here so they can talk about things like this because it's not my area of expertise. So hopefully. You can come back and talk to us on a day when we can organize this. But you know what? Dale Swift, he's an officer who is dealing with youth in our schools and so on. I'm going to ask him because he's a friend of mine. Okay. Let's see here. Ray says, if I owe tickets. I don't know where Ray's initial question is, but that's the second half, I think. Any tips for new drivers in the winter? Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Leave lots of time. Go slow. Don't. The biggest thing in the winter is when you have slippery conditions and traction is a problem. People tend to be in a rush, and then when you mix that whole trying to get somewhere on time and slippery conditions, people make some mistakes that end up putting them in the ditch. So I'd slow down. If you have the opportunity, if you have the ability to ensure that you have snow tires or winter tires, that's going to be the best thing for you in terms of improving your odds of maintaining traction. But really, give yourself lots of time and. What do you call it? Smooth movements, smooth acceleration, smooth deceleration, smooth turning. All those things really help. Ryan Pinn, any additional suggestions for our friends who are new drivers in the snow? He's a driving instructor. We'll see if he throws out some tips in the tippy in the comments there. Tippy thing. Let's see here. What are the requirements to be a canine officer? Well, first you have to be a police officer. You have to be proficient as a police officer, and then when you want to apply for an opportunity, 8 or 10 years after you've been a police officer, you can apply, and you go through a process to qualify and basically interview and so on. But I don't know what the specific requirements are, but I know that it does take. You have to be qualified, and you have to pass some testing, and of course you need to be accepted and pass their training program. 15 weeks of training. And according to one of our friends who's with Police Dog Services, 7 years minimum as a police officer prior to applying. I don't know if that's a written requirement or if that is an average, but you have to be first class. And first class it takes you 4 years at minimum to get to. Let's see. Okay. What do you need to have to become a cop? What do you need to have? Well, you have to have a grade 12 education, although that's really the bare minimum. And more often than not, our people come into policing with degrees or diplomas or both. And then you have to be a full G driver. You have to have a clean record. You have to pass all the testing requirements. But if you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service or any police service, check out the website. For instance, well, you can check out our website for our service, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. That's going to have all the details of what the requirements are. And then, in terms of physical testing and academic testing and so on, it is lots of good stuff. Why so many speed cameras? Well, speed cameras are there to ensure that people who speed get caught because, well, we can't be everywhere. So if you are concerned about speed cameras, it might be because you are speeding. But the deal is that, they catch people that are speeding near schools. Now, there's a desire to increase the number of speed cameras because there's so many violators. They're obviously doing a good job. So there's an intention to increase those numbers. And we might see that in the next little while. And I'm all for it because we want people to slow down. Okay. Is court open for paying tickets? Yes, you are able to pay. I believe there's an opportunity to pay online as well. And but you can. Most places are open for business. Nothing much has changed other than you might have to you will have to socially distance, wear a mask, and maximum number of people inside. And by the way, in case I didn't already mention this, Toronto Police is currently recruiting. If you're looking to become a police officer, they may have job postings in other areas as well, but the position of police constable is now open as of, I believe it was December 1st that it reopened. Ryan Pinge is commenting about driving in the snow for new folks. Plan for longer commutes, clear all snow from vehicle, brake early and accelerate lightly. Have a brush, have a shovel, extra washer fluid, listen to speed bumps, which is, that's a great plug. Speed Bumps is a podcast. It's a podcast by our friend Scott Marshall. He's the safe driver. He is a TikToker, the safe driver on TikTok. He's got a blog. He's got a podcast, which is called Speed Bumps. It's available anywhere that podcasts are available for download. I listen to it on Apple. It's great stuff, and he's got great tips and great stories, and I would totally endorse it. If he's here, I'd ask him to. He's at like 900 followers. He's so close to the 1,000. If you follow Speed Bumps, we're going to get him on the show. We're going to do a live TikTok interview kind of thing. We used to do it all the time on other platforms. We've wanted to get him to 1,000 so we could have him live on TikTok. So please go follow him. We need him. We need him here.
Speed Bumps.
Speed Bumps. It's a safe driving podcast. That's his title sequence. Speed Bumps, a safe driving podcast. Does that sound like Scott? I don't know. Okay.
No.
No? Okay. Can I get pulled over for 5 to 10 over the limit? Yes, you can. Will you? I don't know. But you can get pulled over because anything over the speed limit is unlawful. And if it's unlawful, you're eligible for a ticket. What career can you get with a master's in criminal justice? I'm assuming that's what CJ is. Outside of policing, I don't know. I don't have a master's in criminal justice. You should be telling me, but I've never researched it. Truth is, you could become a police officer with or without a master's in criminal justice, but that's certainly going to help you when it comes to promotion and moving through the ranks later on because education is key. We like education. Okay. If the license plate is covered because of snow, is it the driver's fault? Is a question that's coming in from Instagram. So the deal is that you're responsible for clearing snow. If it's happening because it's a snowstorm and it's falling and sticking, and we're not unreasonable. We understand it's a snowstorm. It's going to be snow in your car. But when you stop that car and you get out of your car and you come back to your car, wipe the snow off. You can't have a 6-foot snowdrift on your license plate. If it's relatively new or wet or whatever might be the case. We'll deal with that as it goes. But you should be clearing your license plate, your rear view, and on all windows so you can see. Okay.
Do I have to be bilingual or multilingual for me to be a police officer?
You don't have to be. but I can tell you that it is a benefit. So if you are an English speaker only and on paper, that's what I am, you can be hired as a police officer. If you have French, and you're bilingual, that's fantastic. You have an added skill, makes you more competitive in the process. If you have multiple languages, well, that's just all the better, because the more you have in a competitive process, the better it is for you. It's competitive, right? So you want to outshine everybody else and be the best candidate you can be. And there are so many people I speak to that have 6, 7 languages. It's amazing. And we need to speak to people in those languages so you become a real asset. Okay. Let's see here. Can you turn right on an advanced green? An advanced green is for the left turn. The right turn still requires you to stop, make sure it's safe to proceed before making your right turn. So no, you cannot turn without stopping on an advanced green. It is only for the left turn. But you can turn, presuming it's safe to do so. So you're still making, you're the person waiting at that light, and the person making the left has the priority. What is this? What I'm just seeing messages from Q. Okay. See, I just read the question that you just typed to me. Okay, moving back here. I have a G2 license. Can I drive my dad's car? We live in the same house, but I'm not covered under the insurance. We get this question a lot. The deal is that in terms of legally, you're a licensed driver. You're eligible to drive any motor vehicle that's insured in the province, or insured period. You can drive it. If we pull you over and we check your license, and we check the insurance, and we check, you're good to go. We're not going to charge you. We're not going to give you a ticket for not being insured under the policy because the vehicle's insured. Now, when it comes to the insurance company, they may say that you have to be insured, or you have to be a certain age, or you have to wear a pink polka dot. They may have rules, and if you violate those rules, and they come to find out, they may not. They may increase your rates. They may charge you a premium. They may deny a claim. They can do what they want as a private company, but legally, the vehicle's insured, and and you're a licensed driver. They could deny a claim. That's going to hurt. But yeah, you don't want to make enemies with your insurance company. That's a bad thing. Okay. Is there no? Okay. Angela wants me to hydrate. Thank you for the reminder, Angela. Constantly getting, you don't stop speaking for an hour, you tend to get dry. Okay. And do me a favor, especially on TikTok, double tap that screen. If you would double tap that screen, it shows everybody on TikTok what's going on. It tells them that you like us and brings them in the room. At least it advertises it. But I want to keep going with questions. What is the new pilot project for towing? It's an OPP pilot project. It basically means that they're going to refer towing projects or towing calls to authorized and approved tow companies. So that helps make it better for customers. They're not going to be getting people who have standardized rates and are legitimate companies. We've had that for ages, where we have contract tows in the city of Toronto. If we're going to require you to use a towing company, we're going to call someone who has been vetted and so on. Okay.
People are very flabbergasted. That's the new word today.
Why are they flabbergasted?
Because you're 6'5", apparently.
I really, because I don't look 6'5" when sitting on a 5-inch phone. That's the deal. I am 6'5", and that video, by the way, we laughed like crazy making that video, and I hope you enjoyed it. That is Sergeant Kulik and myself. She got into the car, moved the seat all the way to the front. I got in the car, moved it all the way, and it just loops, and we laugh every time we watch it. And it's done pretty well. I think it's over 20,000 views right now.
Emma and I, when we first met you, were like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, it can be. It's really different when you're in the room. When you're actually meeting me for the first time. Even my mother-in-law, when she first met me, she's like, "Oh my goodness, she's a tiny person." So we should. I mean, tiny compared to me, but that's most people. I don't think of myself as tall. I think of everybody else as short.
Them fight words.
Okay. Ryan Pinn's got to go to the dentist. Have a great day and drive safe. And hopefully you come back with okay. Dentists aren't always fun for people. Okay. Do speed traps actually take pics of your plate? It depends. In some jurisdictions, they have handheld or stationary laser devices that do have cameras attached. Our cameras are handheld devices that we as officers use. We don't use ones that are integrated with photography or cameras, so we don't photograph you. But a speed measurement device, a speed radar, an automated speed radar device does. So it depends on what you're talking about. So that we do have that in Toronto, but when an officer's doing it, we don't take pictures. We stop you and issue the ticket. How would I know when to pay ticket? Haven't got NT? What do you think the NT is? Guesses?
Nothing.
Anyone?
Haven't got nothing.
Haven't got nothing?
Yeah, haven't got
I'm not
nothing.
good with these acronyms. Some acronyms I can figure out. Others, not so much.
Notice?
So maybe not. There's no international two-letter. So here's the deal. When you get a ticket, if you are choosing to pay it right away. You have 2 weeks to respond. That includes payment. If you're choosing to challenge it, make sure you file for court within the 2 weeks. And that's it. That's really it. If you've gotten to court and you've been found guilty, they will tell you when you need to pay, whether either right now today at the courthouse when you've been found guilty, or if you make arrangements because you need a payment program, because times are tough and they're tough for everybody. So people often ask for time to pay. And if you do that, then you will have a very clear instruction as to what happens next. Okay. How long does it take a ticket to be posted to pay online? My understanding is about 4 business days. So give it a week and you're fine. Let's see here. You should be fine. Okay, Jeeps on a highway without doors seems unsafe. Jeeps are designed to be driven without their doors. Doesn't make them more or less safe. Well, let me rephrase. If you take a door off, there's a potential for all sorts of things to happen. Is it less safe without the door? Possibly, but it meets the grade, it meets the requirements, and you can drive on a highway with a Jeep without doors. But that's basically governed by how safe you feel. Those are thin doors. I don't think they're going to stop very much, but the frame is designed to be, at least my understanding is that the frame is designed to be somewhat resilient, roll cages and whatnot. Okay, does radar work while coming at somebody? So our laser or radar devices will, in fact, measure speed whether you are coming or going. Whether you are traveling the same speed as us, our moving radar will get you approaching from the rear because we have an antenna facing to the rear, we have an antenna facing to the front. So it depends on what kind of equipment it is, but yes, radar will get you whether you are coming or going. And LiDAR or laser as well. Any idea when they're going to ask to change blue plates? I am not aware of the recall program or the status of the recall program. I understand that there will be one, but I don't know what's going on with that. I can tell you, though, that peeling plates are a major issue, and they are currently being enforced. If your plates are peeling, if they're in poor condition, know that we are issuing tickets for that right now. So what's the answer? The answer is go to the ministry and get it exchanged. Now, you may be covered under a warranty. You may argue and say that you don't want to pay for them. But I will tell you that the $60 or whatever the current price is, because someone said that $60 that we were told may not be accurate, and that's possible. They work there, I don't. So my suggestion would be go take care of it. Whatever the cost is, it's going to be less than the $110 that you would be paying as a result of being issued a ticket. Nobody wants a ticket. I don't want you to get a ticket. Okay.
Me too.
Sure.
You drink, cap
Okay.
goes off. Oh, you left it off this time. Smart cookie.
I am getting a rhythm here.
Okay. Who's liable if one car speeds up to try to cross the intersection with a yellow light and hits the vehicles that are turning left?
So yellow light means stop. It doesn't mean accelerate and try and catch it. It means stop, unless it's unsafe to do so. But by virtue of what you just described, which is accelerate to make it through the light, that means that you could have stopped, but you chose to hit the gas to get through. You would be liable in that situation, not only for the collision, but you'd also be in a situation where you could be charged for fail to stop for amber signal. So that's in Ontario, maybe different in other jurisdictions, but yeah, if you're having to hammer the gas to get through an intersection. Now, here's a flip side. The person making the right turn may also be somewhat liable, because when you make the right turn, you are required to ensure that it can be done in safety. So you've got competing interests for who gets to be more at fault. So the person making the right turn is potentially at fault, and you're going to bear some of that as well as the driver who ran the amber light. So you might be in a 50-50 situation. That's a great thing. We charge who we think is appropriate based on the evidence that we collect, whether it be dash cam, physical evidence, witness information. But at the end of the day, the insurance companies, they figure it out themselves. They don't really care what we say. They may take it under advisement, but they will come up to their own calculations, and they will subrogate between the two companies and the parties involved. We determine that it's 60% to one, 40% to the other, and they'll balance the books themselves. I hope that answers. Okay. What happens if, this is an Instagram question, what happens if your headlight is not working but you use your high beams? Well, that's called using your high beams, which is illegal if you are approaching, oncoming, or within a certain proximity with other vehicles. So if your headlights are not working, you've left it way too long because you started with two. So if one's not working, you should have taken that as a hint and replaced that bulb, possibly replacing both bulbs to prevent the other one from, burning out the next week. Just replace them both. Now, if you wait until both burnt out, now you're using a backup of your high beams. Maybe it'll get you to the mechanic real quick, but truth is, it's against the law, and you can be charged for it. There's no, I didn't take care of my car, and now what do I do? So now another question from Instagram, because there's so few, I want to make sure that you get covered here. My sticker expired in November. What's the deadline to renew? If your motor vehicle tag or license, your driver's license expired March 1st, 2020 or later, it's covered till February 28th. That is the extension, so you don't get a ticket. That isn't a suggestion to wait until that time to renew. You can renew online or in person. Get it done now. You don't want to wait till the end. There'll be everybody and their sister and brother and cousin and nephew. Everyone's going to be in line, and why put yourself in that position? Try online if you can. If you have to go in, I'd get it done sooner rather than later. Myself, I renewed my license. I had to go in person to do it, and there was like 3 people in front of me. It took me 20 minutes. It was nothing. I was really, really excited. I was expecting lineups down the street, but they weren't there. Okay.
What's the charge for failure to produce a driver's license?
So fail to surrender a driver's license upon demand. So essentially, when you're pulled over by a police officer, you're responsible to surrender license ownership and insurance upon demand. You need to have the physical card with you. No photo or photocopy is going to be acceptable. What is a charge? It's failed to surrender. It's $110. Equally, it's $110 if you don't have your motor vehicle permit. It's $65 or $60 for not having your insurance proof. But your insurance, you can actually provide an electronic copy. It's the only thing that's electronic-able. Let's see here. YouTube, I was just looking at Lou. Lou on YouTube says, I drive a Slingshot. Let me put it on screen. I drive a Slingshot, which is more like a car. Just curious what the fine is for not wearing a helmet. Any points? Also, does that go to adjust my insurance? So I appreciate that a Slingshot is more like a car, but it's classified as a motorcycle, and you are required to wear a helmet. I believe it's a $110 fine for not wearing a helmet on a motorcycle, because it is a motorcycle by definition, but it has that special permit that doesn't require you to have a motorcycle license. I believe they changed that. So failed to wear a helmet. Let me look up the helmet laws. I think it's $110. Will it affect your insurance? It might. Let's see if there's points involved. It's not a moving violation from the perspective of you didn't do anything wrong with your driving, but it is an equipment issue. Let's see here. Failed to wear proper, that's there on bicycle, helmet, where is it? Come on. Passenger, no helmet on proper driver. That's for off-road. It looks like it's $110. I can't find the one for motorcycle right now, and I don't want to really spend too much time on it. In terms of any ticket you receive is going to be visible by your insurance company. So aside from the safety issues and the law and the fact that if I see you or anyone sees you not wearing a helmet, expect to be pulled over. Just wear the helmet. Wear a half helmet, if you're worried about fashion. But you should be concerned about safety. Okay. So we cover the whole, we covered the left my license at home that Matthew asked a couple of times here. Let me just delete the duplicates. Okay. And you're very welcome, Lou. Okay. I'm going to release that. Okay, if a G2 expires in February of 22, do I have until December? Yes. If you have a learner's permit, G1, G2, M1, M2, those and expired March 1st, 2020 or later, they are extended until December 31st, 2022. Thank you for asking that one, because it's a good question. So yes. Really? How is it $260? So
according to Ontario courts.
Ontario courts.
2.1.
What's the section that you found that?
Can I just link this to you? Is that okay?
Or you just tell me the section of the HTA that you're referring to. Q looked it up. I can't look at that. There's no. You have no HTA number?
I'll look for it.
Okay. Q found something that said $260, but I don't see anything that's $260 in my catalog of charges here. Ooh, equestrian rider failed to use proper equipment, but I don't see. Maybe if I look up motorcycle, it's always interesting to find stuff that we can, look into. Equipment, drive without headlights, proper rear light. Where's helmet? Come on. That's way too deep. Bicycle and motorcycle. No. Okay. Too deep. In any case, it's against the law. Don't do it. It doesn't matter how much it is. Why win the prize? What's the best thing to do when people tailgate? Don't slam on the brakes. You don't necessarily need to accelerate. If you can, move to the right, let them pass you. The horrible people who choose to pair, and I say horrible people because they're doing something unsafe, it's peer pressure or aggressive driving. It's improper. If I saw it, I would charge them for it. I would pull them over and lay the charge. So you don't want to be pushed into going faster because that is not the safest option. Moving to the right, letting them in if there's an opportunity, or making sure there's an opportunity if you're on a single lane in either direction, so they can pass you if they're going to do it safely. Okay. Let's see here. Have you ever had a car not stop for a traffic stop? Yes, I have. When someone doesn't stop for you, if the lights are activated on our, we activate our emergency equipment and they don't stop, that becomes a pursuit, even if it's, them just not cluing in. To a certain point, you activate the lights, they don't comply, that can be considered a pursuit, and additional charges can be laid. I've had people that were so focused on their cell phones that they just had no idea. It wasn't a pursuit per se. They weren't avoiding. They just maintained the same traffic, being clueless. And I pulled them over a short time after. But it's amazing how out to lunch some people can be. What's my dream car? For the longest time, it was a Humvee. I wanted a Humvee. Big guy, figured I needed a big vehicle. Do you know they're not that big inside? They're not that big a vehicle. They look big. The camera angles, not that big. They're wide. So that was for the longest time. I thought that was what I was going to do. I was going to get one. Now they don't make them anymore because the ones they make that are civilian models, they don't even make those anymore. Way too small. I tried on an H2 for size. It was ridiculous. I couldn't see out the windows. I looked out the window and all I saw was the top of the roof. It was unsafe for me to drive. Let's see here. I have a pretty limited interest in vehicles for what I need. What I want now is like something comfortable that gets good gas mileage, maybe even has a hybrid electric power source, because I don't want to spend money unnecessarily on gas. Do I have a dream car right now? No. Something I can fit into. It's amazing how your wants and needs change. When I was a kid, Porsche. And I was just talking about this yesterday. I thought the Lamborghini Countach when I was a kid was the cat's meow. And I've seen so many videos now that basically say it's a hunk of junk, which really depressed me. Come on, this was my dream car as a kid. Vector. Anyway, we can talk about cars another day. AZ license, is it zero tolerance in a personal vehicle? No, it's in a commercial vehicle. If you have an AZ license, it's zero tolerance when you're in a commercial vehicle, not when you're in a personal vehicle. But good question. Same thing like if you have your M1 or your M2, but you have a G license, when you're in a G-class licensed or a G-class vehicle, you're covered under your G. You can have alcohol in your system, although you can't drive impaired. But when you're on a motorcycle, you're covered by your learner's permit, and then you have the zero tolerance or zero BAC requirement. Okay. I don't know what this Ray was asking about the IO tickets business. How much can you lift the truck? My understanding is 3 inches is the maximum lift, and it has to be, what's it called? It has to be an approved or lift. I'm not a lift person. I think I had a Jeep Cherokee like 25 years ago that I raised by just adding a leaf spring. That was the extent. I think I got an inch out of it. But lifting stuff. There's concerns about going too high. Q just doubles up and says OEM approved is a requirement. 3 inches up, and then you can also go down by I think 1.5 inches according to Neon. Salvatore says I need to get the new electric Hummer. I got to see what the window. I got to see what the window line looks like if I'm sitting in that. I do like the concept of the Hummer, and I saw the electric Hummer preview. It was pretty cool, but I don't know if I'll fit into it. Vehicles are not made for me. No. Luna
Emma's
says,
having a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, Luna says, Officer Shapiro, we know you love bikes. Yes. Given the choice, I would ride a motorcycle, but the weather does not support it for the winter. I do find it the most comfortable. I love riding police Harleys. I was in the motor squad for a long time. I miss it terribly. I would take a bike over a car most often. Okay. What were you going to say, Emma? About Emma? Did you say
Oh,
Emma?
I thought you were talking to Emma. I'm like, wait. Emma
Well,
is
hi,
having
Emma,
like a
but-
conniption in chat about a car that she really liked, or not a car, but a truck.
Oh, what is she like?
An El Camino?
An El Camino? I mean, that's a classic, but that's like a pickup truck car. Very funky, very, you can't miss an El Camino. In fact, there's a great movie called El Camino. Wasn't that a Clint Eastwood movie? Am I mistaken?
I don't know. I don't even know what she's talking about.
But, I mean, they're cool. I don't want one, but they're kind of cool. Okay. Let's see here.
From Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad. I watched like season 1 and lost interest. So I don't know. Was there an El Camino in Breaking Bad? Okay. Is there a law about those awful halogen headlights? There is a maximum brightness. They have to be directed properly. But having halogen or bright white is legal up until a certain point, a certain color temperature. If they're purple or blue or they're no longer in the spectrum of white, they're a problem. And some will say, well, blue is part of the spectrum of, they can't be blue lights. So there are laws, there are things that are enforceable there. Okay, we already covered this. Just seeing some duplicates. And hey, if you're new to the channel, because I've been hanging out, we've been here for 47 minutes. If you don't know who I am, where have you been? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and we do this live thing where we answer traffic and police questions on TikTok, Instagram, and a whole bunch of other places like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn Live. We do. I was gonna say Stitch, but it's Twitch. We do all sorts of stuff. And we're here Monday to Friday. Now, this Friday, we're not here. I've got something set up for my absence. But then I'm off for 2 weeks. And while I'm off at home, well, who's going to go live? There's nobody here that's going to go live. So I might go live from home. Might do 30 minutes, twice a week, just to poke in and say hello. We'll see how that goes. It won't be scheduled. It'll be more impromptu. Or maybe we'll schedule. I don't know. Hey, Sarge. We're live. We're just saying hello to you. Okay. Let's see here. Ticket question comes up. It says, is it true more tickets are issued in the last week of the month to meet monthly targets? No, we're pretty consistent all the time issuing tickets. There's no quota. There's no target that we have to meet. So while some places might do that, we don't. The Toronto Police does not have quotas. Now, when we go out to work, are we expected to work? Absolutely. If I don't have a call, if I don't get called and dispatched somewhere, am I expected to come back with maybe a few tickets written? Yeah, it's a measurement of my job. Is there a get me five or you go home and get a yelled at or written up? No, there's nothing like that. As a goal for me, I would write as many as I could. It's a game. If I'm going out to do a job, I want to be the best I can be at that job. And sometimes that means writing tickets. Now, I actually write tickets because I believe in the ticket I'm writing. I don't write tickets because I think I should just hammer people. I write tickets that are part of the big four, that reduce serious injury and death. I want to write a ticket that's going to help someone, save a pedestrian, a cyclist, another motorist. The whole idea of writing tickets is to change behavior. So I'm going to give tickets, but it's for a reason. It's not just to hurt your pocketbook. Well, it's to make you remember that you did something wrong and not to do it again. That's it. You know, when you take away a toy from a child as part of discipline, it's to get them to remember that they should do what they're supposed to do. Now, I hate to equate drivers to children. I happen to be a dad, so it worked out as a good example. But I'm not trying to hurt you or harm you. I'm trying to help you. I want to make sure that you don't end up killing someone and living with the guilt of that for the rest of your life. So that's the whole thing. No quotas, but yeah, definitely we go out there and write tickets. No commission. I've never received a free toaster. I've never gotten an all expenses paid anything. So El Camino was the end movie to Breaking Bad. Really? Oh, come on. Yes. I thought it was. Oh, okay. I don't know. I got to catch up on I'm watching something really. Okay. I don't think I've ever talked about TV and what I'm currently watching. And maybe this is something that the VoiceOver Cop channel should be a better discussion place for. But I got to tell everybody, I'm having so much fun. I'm watching Netflix right now, and I'm watching iZombie. I would have never chosen to watch iZombie, except that I ran out of things to watch. So I watched it, and my wife and I love it. It's a lot of fun. We're really enjoying iZombie. So if you're looking for something fun that has a policing vibe, it's still a police show. I like police shows. So that iZombie is pretty funny.
Can you explain all the new stunt driving laws?
I can talk about stunt driving. I can talk about stunt driving all day long. So new stunt driving laws. Well, there's a couple of things that happened. July 1st, we had an extended a change, 14-day impound over a 7-day impound for stunt driving. That was one. And the September 12th, we had a further extension, and that made a 30-day suspension as well as a 14-day impound. So that changed. Now, I see my zombie watching friend, or my iZombie partner in crime. My wife is coming in from Facebook. Hi. And the kids might be close by, so hello to them too. Okay, back to the stunt driving. Additionally, we had an increase. So we had the 30-day suspension, the 14-day impound, which used to be 7 and 7, so now it's 14 and 30. Additionally, we had changes to the speed. Maybe that was in the July, but regardless, where we are now today, if you are traveling 50 kilometers over the posted speed limit, and the posted speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour or higher, that's stunt driving. What's new is that under 80 kilometers an hour, you need to only exceed the speed limit by 40 to qualify for stunt driving. So in those less speed areas, or areas that were not being properly addressed, you're doing a 60. If you're doing 100 and a 60, that's stunt driving now, because you're doing 40 over in a speed limit under 80. So a lot of people were doing 80 or 100 in a 60. It's not okay. We have speed limits that are 30 kilometers an hour. Now, only to do 40 over to get stunt driving charges. Additionally, stunt driving can now be laid on private property. So if you're in a parking lot and you're doing donuts, that's stunt driving. If you're doing burnouts or drifting, that's stunt driving. Those things can happen on private property or on the road. And that's got a lot of people upset, because they're like, well, where do we go to do these things? And the answer is, you go to a racetrack. You go to somewhere that's designed to accommodate this. But you don't do it on roads. You don't put people in risk. And people say, well, I'm not putting anybody at risk. It's private property. But it's not your private property. And actually, even if it is, you can't do it, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Okay. Let's see here. How do you feel about the app called Waze? Well, I use Waze. Waze is a real cool product. It was purchased by Google a number of years ago. I think it was like for $2 billion, something ridiculous. And what they did is it's social GPSing. Oh, we have the body being moved again, according to Q. Someone's got a dolly.
I didn't think you were going to say that out loud.
Well, listen, it was funny. Someone was driving by with a push cart full of stuff, and it's got a wonky wheel. Anyway, what was I talking about? Waze. So it takes information from all users, and it shares it to basically tell everybody else what traffic is looking like. It predicts. You slow down. It says, oh, you're sitting in traffic. Is that what's happening? And you can acknowledge it. Granted, you should not be acknowledging that while you're in a motor vehicle, because you can't hold your phone. But it's good. I can't stand sitting in zero movement traffic, and this will take you through alternate routes that may not get you there much faster, but you will feel like you're moving because you're actually moving. Yeah. Now, in terms of it reporting the location of police, there's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing to say that speed enforcement is taking place. Some people were, especially one lawyer in particular, was saying that it's a speed measurement device, and that could be, you get a charge for that. This isn't a speed measurement alerting device or detection device. It doesn't confirm what we're doing. It just says that we've been cited there based on somebody else's report. So I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I always kind of felt special when I was doing speed enforcement and I would get a little ding saying the police are close by. I would always laugh. In fact, I would screenshot it. I probably have a library of them of all the times I've been outed in Waze. Will my insurance rate go up after speeding ticket? That's up to the insurance company. Can they? Yeah. Will they? Most likely. Don't speed. It doesn't matter how much over the speed limit you're going. If you're speeding, yes. Let's see here. Have you watched the TV show Bones? I think I've seen it once or twice, but I didn't get into it. Should I be watching it again? Did I miss something? Did I not give it an opportunity and I should revisit it?
There's a question from Instagram in the chat.
Okay.
If it's an 80 speed limit and I'm going 30, is there any tickets for that? And what if it's bad weather and slippery roads?
So if it's an 80 and you're doing 30, listen, if you have slippery roads, it's very icy, and you can't go above 30 because you're going to lose traction, that's extreme weather, and you have to drive to the conditions. Because when you cause a collision because of those conditions and you were driving beyond it, you're going to be faulted for that as well. So yes, or I should say no. If you can justify or articulate why you're going that slow, you're probably doing the right thing. Can you just drive 30 kilometers an hour in an 80 for no other reason than you want to? You might get a ticket for unnecessary slow driving. And is it a hazard? Yeah. Would you be impeding traffic? Totally. We have to use some common sense. While 80 is the maximum, you could do 70 and 60. That's not illegal, but you should be to the side of the road, to the right side, and let the faster moving vehicles get past you. I don't know why people would want to go tremendously slower than the speed limit, but if there's a reason, you're going to have to articulate what that is. Okay. What's the darkest tint? Wait, where's my button for tint? Sorry. Tint question. The answer to the tint question is nothing on the front windshield. You can have 30% light blockage to the left and right, the driver's side and the front passenger side window, directly left and right of the driver. You can go as dark as you want on the back. Any windows behind the driver, you can go as far as you want. But the deal is that the front three windows, your windshield and the ones directly left and right of the driver, need to have a maximum, front windshield, nothing, zero, zilch, nada. But the windows left and right of the driver can have maximum 30%. That's for the inspection manual. That's what it says you can have when you want to get safety. And a mechanic, when is going to do a safety on your vehicle, has to check the amount of light coming through your windows to make sure they're legitimate. From the perspective of the police, when can we lay a charge? Well, you can't obscure the interior of your vehicle. And that does not mean that if you get 30%, you're golden. It means that if it's dark outside, atmospheric conditions make it such that we can't see inside because it's dark and you get tint. And yeah, if we can't identify a driver, you can still have a charge for obscure interior vehicle. You also can't have any reflective tint. So it's I've had this question a number of times. Well, if it's legal to install, why can't it be legal? You know what? There are two different laws. One is subjective. You may be ticketed regardless of what the inspection manual says. But that's the guide that I go by. And everyone is different in terms of how they evaluate tint. Okay. Is radar accurate when the cop is coming the other way? So we have something called moving radar. It takes into consideration your speed, our speed, and the fact that we are closing the gap. So yes, it is accurate and would hold up in court. Thanks for the reminder, Angela, just letting us know we have 2 minutes left. Really appreciate that. Let's see here. Bones is on Amazon Prime.
Are we getting ushered off?
Who? What? Where?
Are we getting ushered off?
No, we're just getting a reminder. But Luna says Bones is on Amazon Prime. I'm currently watching Yellowstone. That's my Amazon. That's where I go to Amazon for, is Yellowstone. It's awesome. That's something I endorse in terms of a cool show. Makes me want to be a cowboy. Gotta say, Montana, wind in my hair. I don't think I'd be a good cowboy. Although I do like riding horses. I don't think the horses like when I ride them because I'm a big guy. Okay. Can you send a car for safety or pull plates? Depending on the situation, yeah. Pulling plates, if the car is unsafe, we can. We do have the authority under certain situations to pull the plates, and it's generally for safety. Let's see here. What's common things temp drivers do? What do you mean temp drivers? Like learning drivers? What is a temp driver? I need to know what you mean. What's the charge for a G1 driver on the 400? So G1 drivers, do you mean driving alone or just driving on the highway with a supervising driver? Because you're only allowed to be on the highway with a licensed driving instructor. That's not someone who is your mom, your dad, your cousin, your brother, your friend who has a G with 4 years experience. That is someone who is licensed and employed as a driving instructor. That's with a driving instructor. That's how you can be on a 400 series highway with a G1. So what's the ticket? It's going to be a driving contravention of condition of your license, 30-day suspension. You would see whatever the face value of the ticket is. I would assume it's $110. And that's it. That's for your first offense. Second time, you'll get a 90-day suspension. Third time, you get kicked out of the program. You can't break the conditions of your learner's permit. Same thing as if you were driving a G1 unaccompanied, having nobody in the passenger seat. 30-day suspension, 90-day suspension, kicked out of the program, aside from whatever the financial cost is. Okay. Who is your role model? That's a good question. My grandfather was one of them. I don't generally look at famous people as a role model, in case that's what you were looking at. Although I did really like watching Chips and wanted to be a motor cop and then did that. But my grandfather was a tremendous role model for me. My parents too, because they showed me they taught me so many different life lessons. So I think you can take composites. You can take different things from different people. But I think a lot of what I did was based on my grandfather. He served in the military. He provided for his family. He worked his butt off his entire life, and he never gave up. So definitely a significant role model in my life. But my mom was also huge in my life, and she taught me a whole concept of being good to people. So, and she also bought me a toy police motorcycle, and I kind of blame her. Well, not blame her, but I credit her for my being in the police service and in riding a motorcycle and all that jazz, even though she wasn't necessarily fond of the motorcycling aspect. Yeah, there you go. So lots of stuff. Maybe we'll talk about that again another time because there's lots to talk about there, but we have run out of time. It is now 10:02, and we must say goodbye for another day. We will... Oh, Dale's on Instagram right now? Oh, hang on a second. Taylor Swift is watching? I can hit that wave button now that I know there's a wave button. Dale, we got a question about people, or more specifically, teachers being able to take cell phones. Are they permitted? Maybe we can have a conversation with that offline and talk about it tomorrow. Maybe have you on the show tomorrow and chat about it, because we did have questions about it during the show. So we'd love to get your perspective. Anyway, unless you can tell me in like a quick typo, what legal authority do they have to take your phone? Basically, we were talking about it. My guesstimate was that if you surrender your phone when they ask for it, you may prevent getting it, a detention. But they don't really have the authority to seize things that I'm aware of. But we'll talk more because you said sounds good. So, and it's the end of the show, and now we're just babbling incoherently. So, with that, have a wonderful day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. And be safe, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye? Okay,
keep it short. Yesterday was very long.
So just Swift said they can take it, but they can't go through it. But I'm curious what the authority they have legally, how they can take it. Can they? Well, we'll talk. All right, I am logging off from the Instagram now, and I am doing the same right here on TikTok. So have a safe day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, TikTok.
I always wonder the countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bye.
And for everybody here, we got the Leo wife. We've got Angela Topping. We've got Big Jeff Fresh. Who else we got here? Pro Football Craze. Salvatore, Lou. Ryan, we say Angela. We've got who else? Ryan. Zach. Ryan left already. Kayla. We had lots of folks saying hello. It's been a great time hanging out. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.